Greetings, and welcome to my channel. This is Sorcerer Tal. You can also find me on Facebook in the Sorcerer's Guild. Today on Becoming Weird, we are going to be discussing what is Operation Mindfunk. Of course, the real word isn't funk, but we can't use the other word this early in a video or we'll get in trouble, so we're going to go with that. Now, this is the OMF that I discussed in the previous episode, Why I'm Leaving Chaos Magic, and it is, in some ways, one of the early tenets, or even a core philosophy, perhaps, of Chaos Magic. This was originally brought up in the Illuminatus trilogy by Robert Anton Wilson, and it is an operation designed to make people question reality and begin to perceive the cracks in the common conception of what reality is. Originally, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but we are going to be talking in this episode about how it got weaponized by Alexander Dugin, and part of how it's why we're in the situation that we're in. We talked a little bit about that last week, but we're going to get more into it. Okay, so Operation Mindfunk uses the idea of paradigm shifting to create new realities, made up realities, convince someone else that that reality is real, and then let them go into life with that new perception. Often the idea is to get them to convert others to this idea, but the idea was eventually they would realize that there was a problem with whatever this new reality was, and it would come crashing down around them, and they would have to then rebuild reality in their own image. That was the original intent. But unfortunately, not everything works out exactly as planned, especially when we're talking about chaos and, the whole funk around and find out. Okay, so in the Illuminatus trilogy, it is used to this Operation Mindfunk. One of the things that they do is one of the characters goes and convinces someone else that the Earth is flat. And then, of course, the person goes out and convinces other people. And that's kind of where the problem starts, because as you are probably aware, there are people right now who believe the Earth is flat. And that's where that started. People took a tip from the Illuminatus trilogy and decided it would be fun to convince someone else that the Earth was flat. And then that person convinced other people, and it spread. And now we have true believers of flat Earth theory all around the globe, as the joke goes. And, well, it doesn't end there, because, as I said, Alexander Dugin has weaponized this concept. We'll get more into that. First, I want to talk a little bit more about the idea itself. In Chaos Magic, sometimes if you look this up, you may also find a meditation where one imagines that one's spine and the back of the skull or the cerebellum are copulating. This is another idea, and this is a very useful technique. It does create some flow in the spine, and it's very useful for bringing up that Kundalini energy in a different way than with the serpents. So, if you come across that meditation or just want to expand on how I just described it, that is a very interesting meditation. I'm not trying to knock that. And the OMF itself had good intentions. As I said, the idea was to get people to perceive the cracks in the common perception of reality and make them rebuild reality in their own image. Unfortunately, well, a lot of people, once they are convinced of something, cognitive dissonance doesn't allow them to realize that it is wrong. And then we get people who decide to come along and weaponize this idea and sow chaos either for chaos' sake, and then we have people using this as essentially a gaslighting technique, because that's really kind of what this is, really, is a form of gaslighting strangers with magic. because a lot of times people would use illusions. Most of the times that I have performed on OMF, there was some sort of illusion involved to convince someone there was a ghost when there wasn't there, that sort of thing. I talked quite a while ago about the Legend of Six. That was, in a way, an OMF, because there was no ghost. But I performed it on myself because, well, things got weird, as you know, and if you've watched that episode, as you know, I made up a ghost, started doing ghost tours on a ghost that wasn't supposed to be there. We started seeing cold spots, and, well, we started experiencing cold spots. You don't see cold. I myself actually seen the ghost moving around the auditorium as I described him. It was very interesting. And that's part of what that's part of what was going for here, was exposing the thermoplasticity of reality. But then it got weaponized. People used it to convince people of many different ideas, and we have Alexander Dugin entering the scene. He sharpened his teeth in the Yahoo chat rooms of the 90s. Like I said before, that's where I first came across Dugin and his acolytes. But now they're working for Russia. And that's kind of where trolls themselves, even on the internet, originated in the first place, is with these coyotes that would pretend they were this or that and convince people of different things and troll them in the original sense, yeah, of convincing people of non-realities, of falsehoods. That's what trolling was when people first started doing it in the 90s. It was an OMF. Okay, so eventually it got weaponized. You have Dugin going and hiring people, paying people to actually convince people in the United States of different things. Sometimes they used their own agents. Sometimes they paid different people in the United States to go and do this themselves. Sometimes through media networks, as has been exposed. But that's what this is. Yeah? It's an OMF. You convince people of something. Make them true believers. Convince them that it becomes so much so that it becomes part of their personality. They will spread that belief far and wide. They will start cults. They will do, well, depending on how much you convince them, they will storm capitals. Possibly consider storming a certain a certain Air Force base, Area 51. This seems like that was probably part of the experiment that was going on while he was working with these OMFs. And at first, they had a whole lot of people on the left and a whole lot of people on the right convincing people of different things. And we still have these trolls that on both sides a bit. But Dugin, being conservative himself, I don't think he realized just how easy it is to convince people who are on... I said left and I meant right. Dugin himself being very far on the right, I don't think he realized how easily people on the right can be convinced of things. All you have to do is give them fear. Tell them someone else is lying to them, and they will go for it very easily. And if people on the left, they're like that too. I'm not trying to say no one on the left is gullible, but there's a certain curve there. And there's a lot more people on the right that are in this area of being able to fall for something with the easy tactics of fear or telling them someone else is lying to them. There's a lot of people in this world, if you tell them someone else is lying to them, you can convince them of anything. And as they say, if you can convince someone to believe falsehoods, you can get them to commit atrocities. And that's what's going on. Yeah? Is Alexander Dugin has been, well, not just Alexander Dugin, but that's the basis of how this works. This is Chaos Magic 101, convincing people of alternate realities. Operation Mindfunk. And that is what we are dealing with when I'm talking about Alexander Dugin. We're going to be talking more about Alexander Dugin in the future, and we're going to get more proactive about that from this point on, because we really can't allow this to continue. I did say I am leaving Chaos Magic, but I am not going to allow the things that we have, our technology, our ideas, to be used to bring about anarchism, to bring about totalitarianism and the forces of control. Yeah? There will be no authoritarian rise. Anyways, do not forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to like this video if you've enjoyed this, and subscribe to the channel. I think that's going to be it for this episode. Thank you once again for joining us. And if you haven't had the opportunity, please take the chance to... I don't know. Maybe we'll edit that out. I think we'll just leave that in as a blooper. Anyways, bright blessings and an interesting fate. This has been Sorcerer Tal.